Yo, what is what up, everybody? Your boy News here with a brand new video for you guys today. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're all feeling good, looking, smelling good. Your boy's back with a reaction video for you guys today. Today's gonna be a reaction of Neil Guy's 2 FC25 tutorials and FC25 24. FC20. I read it as like FC24, but it's FIFA 25. My brain just like I got thrown off for a second, but as far as my recommendations, I never really watched Neil's videos, which isn't anything about Neil. I don't watch a lot of FC content. You know, this isn't my primary gaming outlet. For those who watch my Twitch stream, you know that already. You know that all I do is just stream FPS games and single player games. So, you know, my main YouTube channel, I do video game reviews. Like I just did a review for South of Midnight. So my main YouTube channel, I'm mostly only seeing, you know, content from things within sports, entertainment, in other video game genres that exclude sport games. But on this account, all I see is just sport things, my recommendations, and FC things, my recommendations. So I saw this video and I want to like do a reaction to it. I didn't watch it yet, but I thought about it because for those who watch my video, I don't do tactic videos often. I did one all year, I think. I did like two. I did like a couple tactic review videos for like one for like a Pro Players 451 because I love 451. I think I did one for like a Boar's tactic video as well, but it might have been like S24. But I did one of my own tactics this year, and in that video, if you were watching it, I probably have links like your left or your right. If you haven't seen it, I spent a lot of that time basically just like giving disclaimers, like saying this might not work for you, this might not work for you, just repeatedly. And I saw this video, why you keep losing chain of tactics, and why tactics do not work for you. You copy them but still lose. And part of why my video I kept repeating myself about this might work for you is because when I've watched Inception's videos, when I watch Naomi's videos, and those people who I watch because I find them entertaining and I find them very like-minded, I don't really ever copy their tactics because I don't need to. Because there's a lot of times tactics videos are just which I don't even play. But I look at the comment sections, and there'll be people in the comments, these tactics suck. I use your tactics and I got beat in 3 straight games, you know, 7-0 or 7-2 or yada yada yada. Like I'll see that all the time in this comment section. There's tactic videos in Naomi's, especially Naomi's, because he's a smaller creator, so he has less pull than say Inception does. So there's more chances of negativity in the video. And so I saw this and I'll think to myself like, okay, let's do a reaction to this. We can talk about it. We're probably watching on like 1.5 speed to speed it through. For those who don't know how I am when it comes to reaction videos, do not, you know, view me as the original creator of this stuff at all. You know, the link to his video will be the first link in the description box below. So you go to my video, you see like the description box, the very first thing you'll see will be this video. Click on that link, give him a like on his original video, watch his original video, and if you enjoy his content, give him a subscribe. You know, don't just look at what I post and be like, all right, that was good enough. You know, Neil had a good video and so do you. Like, no. Go to his video, leave him a like, let him know that you enjoyed his video and you agree with his opinions if he says anything that you agree with. So he also added, he didn't pin it, but you know, it's down here. The Zinger feed is this really is aimed at people who just keep commenting tactics suck or whatever. So I send this video to them, and I'm sick and tired of explaining to them that they are just bad. Which, you know, he was very blunt there, but it's the truth, you know. And I said in my video, when I did my video on the 4th theater bracket too, just because for you it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that I made a bad video. It doesn't mean that I made bad tactics. It means you just aren't good with that formation, with that tactics. You have to understand that there's a reason why things are meta and a reason why things aren't meta. Meta is literally min-maxing. It's the most effective and easiest way to achieve something without requiring a lot of skill. That's what meta is, right? So look at something like the 4-2-1-3, which you guys pictured here. This is the meta formation. Why? Because it's the easiest formation to use that gives you the quickest results without having to have a lot of skill at all. You know, even if you're someone who has skill, it takes you even over the hump. And I say what I want to say here, I don't mean any insult towards anyone. Understand that. I'm not picking any fights. I'm not trying to be rude or insult anybody. But an example I give you is this. It's way back. Whenever he doesn't play this formation, he struggles. When he does play the formation, he wins games. You know, and sometimes he'll avoid the formation just to like try to prove a point. Then he gets his ass beat and then goes right back to this formation. And then he'll tell people, oh, I don't run at 95 depth, so therefore it's not ratty. The formation is strong because of formation, not because of tactics. This formation, it behaves in a way that just doesn't work well in FC in the sense of balance. Think about the 4-3-2-1 in FC24. Why did that work so much? Well, EA told us why it worked so much and why they got rid of it. But they didn't get rid of it, they just changed how it works. EA said that the way the center forwards behaved in that formation was why that formation was broken. They also added that because of the center forwards and because of how people will run their midfield, because usually your RCM in a 4-2-1 will be a player who's also getting on the attack. EA said that with those two center forwards made the formation broken. I think there's a similar issue with the 4-2-1-3 in this game, where the way this formation works breaks the game. You know, by having those high wingers and then having those deep line playmakers. I'm using an example, but having those DMs, something about this formation just breaks the game essentially. And I'm sure EA is also trying to figure that out and why it does that. And so like S26, they'll probably do something to this formation to where it doesn't behave that way. Maybe they'll pull the wingers back a little bit. Maybe they'll push the cam somewhere else. Who knows? But the reason why you don't have the same thought process towards like say the 4-2-3-1 is because it's more spread out. The DMs aren't this tight. They're like this now. And the cam is kind of further back as well too, not further up. And the wingers are also back as midfielders, not as wingers. So it behaves differently within the game's coding and things like that. So it's not a broken formation. But that's just a tangent. Let's watch the video. He'll explain, what, like I said, it's going to be saying what I'm telling you right now. If you use a formation that is not good for you, it's not the formation's fault. It's your fault. User error is always going to be the bigger thing on why you lose a game, other than like some small little micro details, as in, like I said before, if you lose 4-0, you lost because you were the worst player. If you lose 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, things like that, there can be like some other factors that led to you losing. That doesn't necessarily mean that you were the worst player.
Why the tactics don't work for you. I get these comments all the time, and I'm going to say things that you don't like, but I really want you to improve. This is from Blond Schwarzkopf, and he goes 4-0-4 after 23 minutes. Thanks for nothing, bro. And you know what the truth is? That player is going to lose no matter what, because they're not good at the game. If you're losing 0-4 and you don't even know how the tactic works, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter if I give you the best tactic, tailor-made. I've done this in coaching. I've given people who actually don't understand the game a tailor-made tactic for them, going over all the nuances, and they still lose. The only reason why, it's one of two things why tactics don't work. Either you don't understand the tactics, which is what most people don't understand, or you're not good enough. And I'm saying this because no other creator will say it. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I don't care if you like me. It's not my job. My job is to educate. I'm not here begging, oh yeah, bro, like my video. I don't care if you don't like it. The point is, you need to know the truth, and you got to know facts, and I'm going to tell you straight. So these are the two biggest problems. And I think, although I'm doing this on my second YouTube channel, this only directed at people if I send this to you. Now, when I go through tactics, I explain everything. There's a reason why I explain everything. The reason why is I could just give you the code. That's why I made the website. But the idea is I tell you how to change things. I say, if you struggle with 95 depth, now I can play with 95 depth, but you know why? Because I'm a top tier elite player. If I give it to someone in Division 4, or if you're on the cusp of Division 2 and you use the same tactic, you may struggle with it. This is facts. If I give a professional player any tactic, a bronze team, they're still going to beat you. But if you're sitting here and you're watching this and you're commenting something like this,
I think it's also important to like know this as well when it comes to like copying tactics. If you don't know how to prevent certain actions that happen against you, like even if you were playing, let's say you're someone who is like you've been getting your ass beat in a 4-4-2, you're like, fuck it, I'll switch to the 4-2-1-3. This is the broken formation, and then you switch to it and you're still getting beat. But the problem isn't the 4-4-2 or the 4-2-1-3. The problem is you haven't learned on how to prevent what has been allowing you to get scored on. You haven't gotten better at manual defense. You've been relying too much on AI defending. And since that update happened, AI defending is worse. It's still broken. AI defending is still broken, and if you use AI defending, you are still a rat. But it's not as strong. Some people couldn't like change into being more manual defenders, so they allow a lot of goals. And instead of looking at it as themselves needing to get better, they just blame the tactics. It got to be the formation. This formation sucks because I allow X number of goals. Here's something that we're going to point out. A good player is going to score goals. That's just how it works. It's a video game. Good players are going to still perform. Even if like I play a lot of FPS games, you will play a game like Rainbow Six Siege. If you play against a good team, you'll still win that game. But I guarantee you there'll still be one or two people on the team who still have a good game. Someone who goes 10 who gets 10 kills, and maybe they have freaking 5 or 6 deaths because it went to freaking 5 or 6 rounds or things like that. And the same thing on FC. You might get into games where you win 8 to 4. Doesn't mean your formation sucked. Just mean you played against a good player who could still score against you. The fact of that matter is that you still won the game. But when it's reversed, let's say you score 4 goals and they score 7 goals. It's not the formation that failed you. It's you. Again, close games can say there's some luck in a close game. But when it comes to, a 3-goal advantage game, that's not luck. That's just someone who's better than you, and that's just the fact of a matter. And so instead of blaming your players or blaming, the meta or blaming your formation, you have to look at what did you do wrong in that game? What passes did you make that wasn't good passes? Did you pull players out of position that you shouldn't pull out of position? Like, look at it's easy for content creators because we see our own gameplay, so we can go, okay, I did that wrong. And even when it comes to like people who are watching our content, you watch like a stream for, like, let's say watch Nick RTFM. I don't watch him, but let's say you do. You see him, allow a goal. You were watching his gameplay. You see every detail that he's doing. You're like, okay, I can pick that apart because I'm looking at it, and he doesn't see it in the moment. Nick, when he edits his videos, is going to see what he did. Like, oh, that's why that freaking happened. I tried to do a player switch to my left back, but the game switched to my center back. So I pulled the wrong person. I pulled the center back out of position. It wasn't even who I was trying to even pull out. That's unfortunate. It's unlucky. Whatever. But you can't blame, when it comes to like this situation though, you can't blame people who make tactic videos for why you lose games. It's not the tactics fault or the person who made the video's fault. It's your own fault because you don't know how to play the formation. First off, most people, they'll spend like 3 games with a formation and then stop using it. People will just play 1 game, and if they get beat in 1 game, it's a tactics fault. Like you're going to need more than a 1 game sample size. Like, you have to understand that you're going to need more than a 1 game sample size to figure out something works for you, because you might just face someone who's better than you. It doesn't matter what your tactics are, what your formation is. If someone's better than you, they're just better than you.
And let's say you're on a cusp of Division 2, stuck on the barrier, for example. You need to understand that looking for tactics is not going to save you. So when I explain something, it's important to make these adjustments. Again, I'm not atting anyone, but it's important, especially the person who I've directly sent this video to in the comment section. You need to understand how tactics work. You have to understand that the reason why you're where you are is where you are. If you give me any tactic, I can still win with it, but you won't be able to. So there's certain tactics like the 4-2-1-3 and certain tactics that really are very meta that year that will help you out more. Now, I would say most people don't understand tactics. They don't understand how it works. So when I explain, for example, oh, look, if you put, for example, inside forward on both these players, and then they're going to stay forward. And then if you go crying after saying, oh, but my players are not coming back to defend, when I've explained it, this is why I go through and explain the actions and the reasons for every single player role. And I go through a depth and a counter. I always explain why. I think I'm one of the only few creators that explain, why do I do this? Why is it done this way? Why have I done this instead of that? And what options you can use instead? Because sometimes I release a tactic, for example, wingback. Now I'll tell you, if you're in Division 7 use wingbacks, it might work for you, okay? Because in Division 7, no one knows what they're doing. Even in Division 2, no one knows what they're doing. But if you're a bad player yourself and you're not that good at the game and you're average, for example, or below average for that division, with 2 wingbacks, you're going to get counted. That's why I specifically say, if you know you're going to get counted, use something like fullback defend. And I don't want to sound patronizing, but it's important that I say this, no BS, because I think people keep changing tactics every single week. When I release tactics out, I'm expecting you to try it for like a weekend league and a bit more. I expect you to play for the weekend league, play it for a couple of rival games, see how it kind of goes, and or play rivals first, then weekend league, and then see if you like it. If you like it, good, it goes into your slot. If you don't like it, then you bin it, and then you see my other tactics that I have. That is why when I do these tactical layouts, that's why I've been recently, I make a best of tactics of the year, and then I try to incorporate different systems. Why? Because someone who's watching this is in Division 4 might like the 4-1-2-1-2. Someone's watching this, also a rank 1 player. They like the 4-1-2-1-2 and they could do well with it. But I know if I give that same 4-1-2-1-2 to someone who ranks like rank 3 player or rank 4, they're going to struggle. So all these things you have to take into account. Now, I think a lot of people, do you know why they're also bad? It's because emotions alter the decisions. Emotions are the biggest destroyer, I would say, of performance. You could be an elite player 1 week and be a Division 2 player the next week just because of emotions. This is why in the Patreon and my FC,
I think that's actually like a very, very true statement. Like we all know the term and phrasing, head loss. When you have head loss, you start making mistakes. You start to do things you don't necessarily, mean to do. You pull players out of position. You're angry and you're ranting, so you're not paying attention to what's going on in the game. You make an extra pass because you're panicking. That's one thing. Like, you might panic because, let's say you're playing a close game and the person playing against is actually really good at maybe defending. So you're panicking when you see them move anyone on the defense. You're panicking when you see an offside trap. You're like, oh shit, offside trap. So you're panicking and you're trying to like adjust immediately. You're not slowing down. One of the things I talk about in some of the videos that I've done for Rush is I mentioned that a lot of times you'll see with Rush players is when they lose the ball, they'll immediately do a slide tackle and end up getting a freaking blue card It's like that's a head loss slash panic reaction. You know, they fucked up and everyone just saw them fuck up. So they panic, hit X or hit whatever button would be for PlayStation. And now they had a blue card. Now your team's even more fucked over because not only did you lose the ball, now you were down a man. You know, so like, it's like with Nate the Foot Accountant during his live stream. He was talking about how during the the Maldini Cup thing, if you lose a couple games, maybe take a break and then come back at it, you know, a couple hours or the next day instead of just keep going. Because when you have head loss, when you're frustrated, when you're taking like a lot of L's, your brain stops behaving in a rational way. You start to you know, try to force things, and this is something we talk about in FPS games too. Because those who don't know, I primarily play FPS games. I've done like FPS videos, things like that. You play FPS games and you start to like have bad games where people are giving you shit for having a bad game. You try to, you know, overdo it. You start to over aim. You start to pre-fire. You don't need to pre-fire. You start to over peak things. You start to do so many different things that you don't need to do because your brain is telling you that you need to basically to compensate for the fuck up that you did beforehand. You know, and it's like you gotta take a deep breath and, you know, calm the hell down. Take a break if you need to. And it comes to like, you know, like I said, an hour, a couple hours, you know, another day, things like that. And a lot of y'all who play this game, who watch these videos, y'all more of the hardcore crowd. So you're playing, you know, 10 games a day, damn near. Y'all playing for like 5-6 hours a day. So, you know, when y'all have that head loss, you're continuing to play the game for hours upon hours upon hours, and you're losing all these games. And instead of looking at yourself as a reason for why you lose those games, you're like, okay, it's a formation. I'm gonna go to Neil, I'm gonna go to Nawizi, I'm gonna go to Anubis, I'm gonna go to whoever posted a video about tactics. If Boris had a video about tactics that day, go on Boris telling him, hey, I watched your video and I got beat in every game I played in. I lost 10 straight games of rivals with your formation. It sucks.
School explains to you how to analyze your gameplay, so you know yourself. You know, if you watch my Division 10 to Elite Division series, we just played basic gameplay. But even I got frustrated in Elite Division in games that I shouldn't have lost, but I lost it, and I said my opponent was better than me, and I admitted it because I knew I made silly mistakes. But as soon as I get back into that position, I realize I'll make a dumb mistake. I end up winning. The thing is that I know when I'm making silly mistakes, and I know what's the correct way of playing. Most of you guys don't know. And it's hard because if you run out with your CDM and you beat someone, or you run out with your center backs and you beat someone 3-0, but you do the same against a better player, you will lose. And that's why it's very hard in FC without a direction to actually improve, because you get conflicting information. How I know this, I've been coaching students for thousands of people over 5 years, people from literally pro level to want to be pro, to rank 1, to elite level, to Division 1, all the way to Division 10. The average player. So I know why people think a certain way. You know, they might run out with their centre backs for 3 games of the first weekend league games, but once they're 4-0, they're going to struggle because they can't do that against a better player. But they don't know this. They're saying, why am I winning sometimes and winning other times? So a lot of this misinformation is also being redirected at you. So that's why ultimately gameplay is the most important thing. If you can't win with a tactic, it's gameplay. You go on YouTube, you search any tactic from any player, and if you're good enough, you should be able to win. As long as you look any good player here, and I promise you, any real top tier elite player can see a tactic, just look at it attacks, how it defends. In fact, they don't even need to do it. They just need to go into a game, but they can roughly figure out, okay, unless you're playing some extreme tactic where it's like, for example, something crazy like this, and then you have, for example, both these players on inside forward roaming or inside forward attack, whatever you want, where they basically stay forward, some insane formation like this, and let's say, for example, you got no defenders, right? Let's say you're like this at it. You're playing the most aggressive, this probably is the most stacking formation. You got 3 defenders. Don't get me wrong, a professional player probably will struggle with this, but they're going to know, okay, I need to then hold possession. When I lose the ball, I've got to run back with my center mid all the time. That's something just to note. Something else I wanted to say as well is, a lot of people think I just wake up.
It's just an example, but a pro player would definitely be like, all right, using this formation, using this setup, my goal is to just outscore. Like, I understand my defense is going to be rough. I'm trying to win this game, you know, 10-9.
Day, you know what? I decided, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to make a 5-2-3-1, and I'm just going to make it up on the fly and just do some random stuff. Obviously, no, I don't pluck this out of thin air. What I do is I test tactics out. Now, for most tactics that are, obviously I know what I'm doing. I'm not some Division 5 player, with all due respect. I'm not just making tactics for the fun of it and saying it works in Division 5. Of course, I test everything in Elite Division, and I test it. I have an account in every single division, okay? And if I give it to someone in Division 7, it might be a lower level, they're going to struggle. At least someone else can try it, and they can understand, okay, this is the weak points, and then I can make my adjustments. So that is the whole shebang. So if tactics don't work for you, it's either you're not good enough, which is probably going to be 99% of the time. That's tied to emotions, you running out with your center backs, making silly mistakes. You can even watch your gameplay back. You don't believe me? Go watch your gameplay. Go watch that game that you lost. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is you don't understand the tactic. You don't understand how it works. You don't understand what certain things do. And you don't understand, for example, if someone's on inside forward roaming.
I think one of the big ones is he keeps mentioning that you don't understand how it works. I think that also goes into not understanding how build-up works and not understanding how to, you know, create real offense. Here there is real offense. A lot of people play this game They don't do build up play. Their thought process is, especially when it comes to like the current meta, run down the flanks very, very fast, do a cutback, or run down the flanks very fast, try to get to, that sweet spot position, do a Trivela. Run down the flanks very, very fast, maybe do a through ball, do a finesse shot. That's not build up play. So to someone who's simple, they'd be like, that's build up play. That's not build up play. So for a lot of people, that's their way of playing a game. And when they get into a match where someone doesn't allow them to do that, when they get into a match, someone doesn't allow them to just do a through ball to their striker for a finesse shot, or just spam Trivelas, or even spam cutbacks. Like, they'll get frustrated. Like, okay, this isn't working. Why isn't it working? And they can't figure out how to do like work around it. A good player will be able to like prevent you from being able to do the things that you're good at, because they'll pick up what you're doing. They'll notice what you're doing. You'll be like, okay, I'm not giving you that particular thing. And if you yourself are a good player, you adjust to that. You're like, okay, he's cutting off Trivelas. Let me freaking try to freaking, do some extra passes that lead to, a near post shot or a finesse shot, even throwing a power shot, just to make that person worry about it. Sometimes you got to do things in a game to keep people on their toes, but if you do the same thing over and over again, yeah, you're going to get found out and you're going to lose, because people aren't, as dumb as people are, they're not that dumb to where they'll just keep letting you do the same thing over and over against them. Even when it comes to like my complaining about cutbacks, a lot of the times I defend cutbacks very, very well. It's that one time where it works that annoys me, And again, that's one situation where like I can blame the game and say that, my player should have got the ball there. The keeper should be able to defend against that. But at the same time, one situation was like, maybe I should take a foul. Maybe I should, when I see someone, who's out running my player, because a lot of people using pays teams, things like that. Maybe I should take like a tactical foul instead of just letting him get to that position to do the cutback.
You should know yourself, okay, well, let's say we go back to the 4-2-1-3 here, because that's what we want to really focus on. But let's say we went to the inside forward roaming like this, and for example, inside forward roaming, that players on stay forward, they're not going to come back and defend. But look, this is more aimed at, if you're just seeing to my second channel, just ignore this video. This is more aimed at people who I'm sending this video.
Another thing I'll mention, this is also like why talk about like being able to play the game a certain way and use certain roles because you yourself are good enough to do it. I'll run formations or tactics where I'm using, false back or using wing back and have no issues, where somebody else might use those things and be like, yo, false back sucks. And it's like, it worked for me, like, I'm not gonna say you suck, but if it didn't work for you, it's because you don't know how to use it properly, or the way you play the game itself prevents you from being able to utilize that formation, but use that tactic the way that it needs to be used. It's not that wing back sucks. It's not that false back sucks. It's just that you yourself don't know how to properly use it to where, it can be effective for you. You need fullback defense. Same thing as like roles. I've often played people off roles and never had an issue with it. Whereas like someone else might do the same thing. It's like, bruh, I saw in your video that you had Rose Lavelle left back off roll. She had like not a single freaking roll. So I did the same thing and she was getting cooked. It's like, or are you manually controlling her? Because I wasn't manually controlling her, so therefore the role doesn't really matter. Because remember, the roles are an AI thing. What the roles what roles do in this game is this is what your AI is going to do when you're not controlling that player. So if I know for a fact that my player doesn't have the role, usually it'll be like a left back or a right back who doesn't have the role, not my forwards, because I want them to be doing what they need to be doing. But so if I have my left back off role and I know my opponent's going to run down the left flank, I immediately switch my left back so I can be the one who's doing that control. And if my left back still gets beat, whose fault is that? Mine, because I'm the one controlling the left back.
Video 2, okay? Because as I said, it's important I be honest, because I'm not here to win a popularity contest. If you don't like me, I couldn't care less. My job is to educate. And at the end of the day, no one's going to tell you this because they're going to lose viewers. They're going to lose people from liking them. To do this, I do consulting for content creators. I told them you stay away from this kind of content. You don't talk about anything controversial. You don't mention anything like this, or you don't talk about things that might make your viewers turn on you. But you know me, I don't care. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. So I'm doing against the advice that I give, but it's for you to get better. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, guys. And you know what? Take it easy. I know it's a bit, in this game, I know it's a bit sometimes stressful. Enjoy the game. Try to focus on the basics. Focus, only play the basics, just focus on the basics, play it slowly, and watch your gameplay back. That's the biggest.
So, like I said at the beginning of the video, he's being very blunt, and that bluntness is just him being honest. But at the same time, you understand this: he wants to help you. You know, this is his job. Like I don't get paid for what I do on this YouTube channel at all. This is his job. I don't know how many channels he has, but you know, he will get some kickback from these videos. He wants to help you. He doesn't have to. He wants to help you. And this video isn't meant to be an asshole. I don't know what his just like the like ratio is. He's not trying to be an ass. I know some of y'all are very sensitive. You might take it as him being, you know, an ass, but he's just trying to help you out. He's trying to explain to you, hey, don't give me shit because something didn't work for you. You have to look at yourself as being the reason why it didn't work for you. You know, like, yeah, it's easy to blame the person who made the tactic video, but the reality is you need to understand why it didn't work for you. Not why it works for me, not why it works for the other 500 people who watched the video or 1,000 people watched the video or whatever number. Why didn't it work for you? You know, look at your own gameplay, figure it out. Or if you really want to figure it out, if you really are willing to put the resources into it to, you know, figure it out, you can get a one-on-one coaching session. There's people out there, I don't know if he does it, there's people out there who do one-on-one coaching sessions. You can get a coaching session to figure out why isn't something working for you. You can, you know, and that's just how it is. So I don't think he's in the wrong. Some people probably feel like he's in the wrong. But you gotta understand, and like I said, he's not being an ass. He's just being blunt, and he's trying to be honest to help you out. In the long run, he's trying to help you out. Like, yeah, being called bad sounds brutal, but it's more just like a tough love. Because sometimes when it comes to humans, you have to say certain words to trigger a response. You know, because if you just go, hey, you just need to get better at this, people are like, oh, okay, and it goes over their head. But if you go, hey, you're bad, it's like, oh, wait, who you calling bad? Now you got their attention. Now their defenses are up. Well, get your defense up in the game. Anyways, for me, as I said before, being in the video, hit link to this video will be the first link in the description box below. Show him some love, give him a like, give him a follow, all that good stuff. It was a good video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Be waiting to Archer. I'll see you guys out here. Deuces.